the private program enrollment deadline, 215 enrollments a week to get that total number down to 0. So we're planning next week, if these deadlines are approved, to do a second round of emails to those who are unenrolled and those who are enrolled but have yet to remove their trees. We are planning a social media campaign with our partner organizations to send out information on the importance of tree removal for overall recovery with some deadlines and some contact information. We're going to continue with our weekly newscast radio interviews, and I'm pleased to announce today that we have 2 temporary personnel starting with us on Monday to support the hazardous tree removal program, specifically to reduce overall abatement risk, and for that personal outreach that is required, hopefully, to get that number down overall. On the fourth slide, I have a timeline. And so what I wanted to present here with this timeline is sort of for everyone to understand the relationships of the deadlines to each other. So if we have private program enrollment ending October 30th, we have courtesy abatement noticing beginning in September and October. We have the government program enrollment ending 4 weeks after tree felling mobilization, so we're estimating sometime in November. And then the private program cut-by date would be December 4th. The reason we're suggesting December 4th is because it's important to begin those abatement proceedings because the government program contractor will become our abatement contractor. And we want to make sure we don't skip a beat. We get through the abatement process, so when the government program ends, all the hazardous trees are down in town. And then abatement would begin December 5th, as I mentioned. One other thing I wanted to let you know is that these proposed deadlines will align with what the county is proposing to the Board of Supervisors on September 15th. And it's important that we have these aligned deadlines because we're both administering the same sort of pool of property owners, because we want our messaging to be consistent, and because we want the government program to understand what our deadlines are in relation to the government program enrollment deadline and to abatement proceedings. So that concludes the comments I put together for the proposed deadlines, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the council?
So this is just trees that are endangering the right-of-ways.
Yes, these are the trees that are referenced in the hazardous tree removal ordinance.
Right away then, right. I mean, public.
The same trees that the government program would do, this is just the private portion. So people have like what I'm getting at is people have trees like on the back 40 of their
This
property.
is not a
This is
reference
not
to,
applicable.
correct. Yep, just the trees that are specified in the hazardous tree removal ordinance for the private program specifically.
So you might, again, make note that after the state program is done, then we will come in again, the town will stand up yet another program to deal with the back 40 trees, so as not to confuse the already confusing tree issues. We want to keep them separate. So we have the public and private tree program going on now for any road that could fall within a public or private road or right-of-way taken twice its size. After that is over and done, completely finished, the town will apply for more funding to do those back 40 trees.
We've noticed that without these deadlines, we're unable to really create a sense of urgency, especially as we send out emails and we say, please do it soon. It's difficult to really communicate the importance of action around the private program. So we do feel very confident that when we have these enrollment deadlines and cut-by deadlines in place, we can communicate that very specifically. And our folks who are answering the phones and answering emails can help people understand what to do with the time they have left.
So the biggest thing I hear from people is just they don't understand. Mostly from people out of town. Do they have, you say they do have a phone number they can call, ask questions of with somebody they can, have that interaction with?
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of complexity to both of the programs, and because we have several published phone numbers, folks oftentimes aren't sure who to call. So when we bring in the 2 temporary staff, they will be dedicated specifically to that personal conversation that is needed to move someone from, I don't understand this at all, through the steps, and sometimes it'll be helping facilitate that ROE process with the ROE Center to move them from that place all the way to my trees are down, I've been certified clear, and I'm done with that process. And so we feel that bringing on 2 people and publishing a new email address that we're setting up today will help us be that help that people need when they're, you know, looking at the website and they're calling all these numbers and they're getting confused, we do feel that that personal touch is needed.
Good, and hopefully they will also be able to let them know that your trees are coming down one way or another. I mean,
Yes.
they've got to come down.
Yes.
You know, you don't live here, you don't see them, but they have to come down, and if we don't do it this way, then we have to do it a different way. So hopefully that, I mean, that's a ginger way to have to say that, but they have to communicate that sometimes.
We're in a courtesy period right now. When we enter abatement, then there really will be fewer options and fewer options all the way through the process. So we're definitely pushing on that outreach now during courtesy. And when we get to abatement, the results are, it's harder, it's going to be harder for everyone.
Well, when we do abatement, it's gonna be very expensive for the homeowner, and it's because they're going to be forced to enter into something. But I think it's really important for people to know that even if they wanna take down the tree right now, it's getting harder and harder to find a place to take that tree to. So, hop into that state program, get signed up, that's the best way to go. And in the meantime, they can call the ROE Center, is that right?
Yes?
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, do you feel that, this timeline might end up moving? I mean, the tree program, the government program has also been started, you know, like May. My concern is if this ends up with a hard, deadline and the government program hasn't even started, are we gonna be offering some type of flexibility? If someone calls and says, hey, I got these guys that are gonna come out and they're cutting trees on December 10th. I mean, for everything at 2020 is a tail.
Sure.
Doesn't surprise me. How is that gonna work?
Well, we did talk about all of that. I think that it would be, you know, sort of, I think unfortunate for us to set deadlines with a possible extension in mind, because this is the private program that the town administers, and it is necessary that we move people quickly into the process, especially having that ROE sign so that they can get into the government program. But, you know, certainly if someone calls and says, let's say it's December 3rd, and they say, I have a tree contractor lined up, here's a copy of my contract, I'm going to have my trees removed, I'd imagine we might discuss that. But I think that the spirit of tonight's discussion really is to set deadlines that we can really be accountable to, both on the staff side and on the property owner side, because we feel that that's absolutely necessary to push this 3,000 number forward, hopefully mostly into the state program, government program.
Any cards or any call letters?
Actually, can we do roll call? We
No.
missed that.
It wasn't on here.
It is.
Okay, it is?
It is.
It's at the top.
Oh.
Yes?
Okay.
You're right, yes. please
Me
roll
too.
call.
I'll have it
Vice
marked.
Mayor Crowder,
Here.
Councilmember Jones is absent, Councilmember Schuster. Here. Councilmember Zagulillo.
Here.
And Mayor Bullock.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I did have one public comment from David Hanford, and he supports the removal deadline. However, hazard trees in Paradise are still being assessed, and it appears a formal contract for the actual tree removal has yet to be finalized and put into action. And is the December 4th date even feasible given the number of trees that need to be removed? And I did forward this to Katie, and Katie did respond to this gentleman, so there is, I think it's been resolved.
Yes, I let him know that the December 4th deadline we were proposing was for the private program, not for the government program. So he had an ROE, or for example, he was speaking, if he had an ROE, he was concerned that the government program hasn't mobilized, how can we ensure the trees will be down? But the December 4th deadline is specifically for the private program cut-by date, which means you have an inspection access form completed, or your arborist has certified your property clear of trees. And we did go back and forth a couple times.
Okay.
Yep.
That was the only comment that I had.
Okay, thank you. It just seems like it's two different issues, whether the trees come down or not, we still need to get in the program.
Yes.
What's the wish of the council?
I would move for approval.
Motion by Schuster, seconded by Zuccolillo, to adopt resolution number 20-29. Roll call vote. Vice Mayor Crowder.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones is absent. Councilmember Schuster. Councilmember Zuccolillo.
Aye.
And Mayor Jones, Mayor Bullock.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn our special meeting, and we will start